GTA 6 has finally been announced. Well, technically. Next month, Rockstar will finally release the trailer, the first announcement trailer for GTA 6. And in today's video, we are going to be going through absolutely everything that we know up until this point. This is more of like a previously in the GTA 6 universe. And we're just going to go back through, because last year in September of 2022, there was a leak. One of the biggest leaks within gaming. And with it, a lot of information was revealed about GTA. So we already know quite a bit. It's still not set in stone, I should highlight. There's a lot of things with game development that goes through rapid iteration. So there's a lot of things that they could potentially add, as well as there's also a lot of things that could be taken away. But we're going to go through the list of the things that we currently know, and there is quite a bit. So it's going to be a long video, but should be a fun one. Starting off with the setting. There's already quite a bit that we know about this because, well, it was actually some of the first bits of leaks that we ever heard about GTA 6 many, many years ago. And that is Vice City. That is set in stone. That hasn't changed. That's probably one of the first bits of confirmed information that we ever found out. We also know from an article that was released back in 2020 from Jason Schreier, which was also posted on Kotaku, that with this, it's going to be a fairly small location. Yes, it's still going to be big in terms of what Rockstar produces, and it's certainly going to be quality there, but as time goes on, Rockstar are planning to continuously expand upon this world, which wasn't really done within GTA 5, not the story, and was not done within Red Dead Redemption 2. Now we should say that this isn't the first time Rockstar have said that they plan to keep on expanding after release, because initially they did have plans to do the exact same thing with GTA 5, except online made so much more money. So we'll see how it's going to be this time around, but as part of that original article, the idea behind it was because with the release of Red Dead Redemption 2, there was a lot of problems with crunch time. And to help mitigate that, they're hoping to release something slightly smaller in scale that will continuously expand after the initial launch. Characters is similar in a way to what we've had with GTA 5 in that you will be able to switch, but instead of there being 3, there's only going to be 2, and it's more of a Bonnie and Clyde relationship. The characters that we will be playing with will be Jason and Lucia. This does mean for the very first time we will have a female protagonist, and this was a big ask for a lot of players after Red Dead Redemption 2 because people fell in love with Sadie Adler. In fact, with Red Dead Redemption 2, there were hopes that Rockstar would expand upon the story with a Sadie Adler DLC. Alex McKenna, who was the voice for Sadie Adler, also said that she was open to the idea of coming back and recording even more lines. Again, unfortunately, this never happened. But people are envisioning a strong female lead, very similar to what we had with Sadie Adler, being within GTA 6. But following previous titles, both characters will have their very own personalities and they'll also have their very own special abilities. Now with this going into GTA 6, because this is a Bonnie and Clyde relationship, it's also said that there will be a relationship meter. Opening the idea that with both characters, you will be able to do things within game that will affect the other, making them love you a bit more or potentially hate you. Through the research that I've done, I can't see if there's anything to do with an honor system within game for both Jason and Lucia, unlike what we had with Arthur within Red Dead. So potentially what we could see is that this relationship meter will replace the honor system of what we had originally, and what happens within that meter, depending where you place, could actually have an effect on the final outcome of the story. We already know with additional leaks that what Rockstar are really trying to go for is a unique experience, and that might be a given considering they try to do that every single title release. But we're now getting into levels where it is incredible, because alongside all of these leaks, it's also been found that with both characters, they will be treated differently within the world. Walking down the street as Jason will be completely different to walking down the street with Lucia. One example is Lucia could very well be catcalled. And just on that, what Rockstar are really going for is this reactive experience, and that reactive experience could potentially also cross over into the relationship. In fact, I would say it's highly likely that this will happen. We don't actually know that much about the story. The only bits that we do know is that, of course, it's going to link to the characters, and that's a given, but of course their relationship's going to have an impact. There's also been a lot of articles which say that the story will be broken down into chapters rather than missions. But yet again, this isn't anything too crazy. Despite all the leaks that happened in September of 2022, the story itself remained untouched. So with that, that's actually exciting because we will get to find out when we first see that trailer and also building up to the full game release. But that brings us over to the main bulk of this video being activities and mechanics. Firstly, the weapon wheel is still going to be within game, but it's going to more, in a way, react similar to what we had within Red Dead Redemption 2. Right now within GTA 5, you can hold every single weapon at any given moment. And there were actually quite a few memes on this a few years ago where people would calculate how much weight each character was holding on based on their weapons being within their inventory. So that is changing. It's going to be more of a way where you can only hold a limited amount of weapons at a time, but you will have safe houses, any types of vehicles where you can store weapons and then you'll have to go back to pick them up. Similar to what we had within Red Dead Redemption 2 with your horse saddle. Activities like fishing, crazy golf, and even football, that being UK football and also American football, will be included within game. A mechanic coming back similar to what we had within San Andreas is that you will also be able to go and hit the gym where you can build muscle mass on both your characters. Also opening the door for the other way of where if you don't hit the gym and you just go through, eat a load of crappy food, eventually you're going to get more on that fatter side. There'll be a lot more stealth elements within the game. For the first time ever within GTA, you will be able to lay and crawl across the floor. Normally they do this weird, awkward crouch position, which isn't really much of a crouch. In a lot of cases, you are not really hidden, but it's just been the mechanics that have been implemented for GTA 5 and before. Now that is changing. Alongside it, you'll also be able to get new types of equipment such as zip ties so that you can take people hostage. You'll also be able to loot bodies by patting them down, similar to what we had within Red Dead, but with this, they're also going deeper because you can also pick up bodies, go through and hide them, more of a Hitman style type of thing. You'll be able to go to shops, and when you buy clothing, it will affect what you have and what you're able to carry. So you can go through and buy bags, which will open up how many inventory slots you'll have. And with these inventory slots, you can also bring in consumables. Consumables being, of course, your food, but any type of first aid. Going off of what we said earlier, there will be more of a reactive space within the world. So what you do within the world is going to be reacted by all the AI. Your police, any type of NPCs, you name it, civilians, whatever it may be, will be reactive. And that is done through a number of different actions that you do within game. So before, if you were walking down the street within GTA 5 with your weapon out, no one's going to react until you aim it at an NPC. Now they will react. And in some cases, you may not need other NPCs around you for there to be a reaction. What I mean by this is that CCTV will also be heavily utilized within some areas. This also makes it more difficult where if you do commit a crime and they see you get into a vehicle, that vehicle could be spotted again if you go into an area where there's a lot of CCTV. This is if you're going to be more on that criminal side. On the more passive side, you can go through and you can greet and even talk to other NPCs within game. This was actually part of Red Dead Redemption 2, but apparently now it's going to be expanded. We're not at that point yet where we're able to go into game and then just have full conversations, very similar to what people have been doing over the last year with the likes of ChatGPT, getting them to answer questions and everything. Although this is something that Rockstar and Take-Two have talked about and said that it would be interesting within the future. So we're not at that extreme yet, but we're certainly starting to pick up. This should be more in depth than what we've seen from any previous or recent games for that matter. Injury and damage systems have also gone a lot deeper. It's now not the case of you being alive and dead. There's also in-betweens where you could have a concussion, for example. Concussions were mentioned a lot within those initial leaks, but it's also believed that you'll be able to go around with illnesses and even sprained or even broken bones. This can also cross over to your vehicle. Not so much you giving a cold to your vehicle, but your vehicle will also have a much more in-depth damage system. While speaking of vehicles, they are extremely detailed, interior and also exterior, and it's even said that with the dashboard, it is fully interactable within every single car. With the leaks last year, it was reported that over 18 new vehicles were introduced alongside there being a lot of original vehicles from what we had within GTA 5. You'll be able to lean outside of vehicles while shooting, and with all of this, whilst we've been focusing on the vehicle side of things, jetpacks are supposedly to be reintroduced back into GTA 6 as well, which is certainly going to be a lot of fun. The clothing system will also have a massive upgrade, as you will be able to purchase clothing for both Jason and Lucia, but with this you'll also be able to wear it in a number of different ways. You could decide how a bracelet or a watch is worn, with you also rotating its exact angle, and also to do the exact same thing with hats. Expanding from what we had within Red Dead Redemption 2, as time goes on, your facial hair will grow, so you need to go to a barber's or a hairdresser's to get that sorted. Whether or not you're going for a full transformation, changing your hairstyle completely, or just trying to get it trimmed. And with your clothing that you wear, as time goes on, it will start to deteriorate. Depending on the activities, it may get dirty, it may potentially, likely get bloody. As time goes on, it will just deteriorate, just completely tear apart and no longer be useful. A big part to GTA is the police, and with this, they've also expanded here. Who would have guessed it? For one of the very first times, you will be able to surrender to police. Now, we're not 100% sure what would be the purpose for this because we haven't seen the full gameplay scenarios of this. But what has been theorized, because GTA 6 is going to be the first ever game that allows you to pick up and drop weapons or items, equipment, whatever it may be, that potentially you could run away from the cops for committing a fairly small crime. You can run away, ditch all your weaponry, keep it safe, surrender, take a very low charge, leave prison, and then go back to your stash and then pick it up. That's just been a very small theory so far, putting together some of the mechanics that we know about. When you do commit a crime, there will be a much more realistic police response, not so much of them just spawning right around the corner. They will, in more sense, drive to your location from wherever the closest police station is or hangout is, whatever it may be. So in that example earlier, if you were to pull out a weapon but there's no civilians around, but instead you were caught on CCTV, how police respond to that will be different compared to if there was already police in close proximity. And with this, the AI for the whole police system is supposed to be a lot more intelligent. It's not just the case of them spawning in like we just said, but they're also going to be tactical. Depending on how you're holding your ground, they will try to maneuver around you. It's also been said that it's going to be a lot more emotional. If you were to take down a fellow police officer, other police officers will respond. Some will do it out of emotion and potentially even break down so that they're less of a threat, but others will get angry. You've taken out their best friend. They're going to go for you with vengeance. This also expands into potential cop traps. So this could be checkpoints or random searches, but could go into a much more dirtier side. In fact, there is going to be dirtier cops within GTA. You could bribe them, pay them off, do certain things for them, and they will just turn the other cheek. They'll look the other way whilst you're doing whatever it is that you need to do. Now, with what we said earlier, as time goes on, GTA 6 world will expand. But with the locations that we will have on release, there will also be different police jurisdictions. And with that, you will be able to do some things in some places, whereas others you won't. Potentially there's going to be some with a few more dirtier cops than others. We're not 100% sure how it's going to work with the likes of Red Dead Redemption 2. As you had different locations, you could build up a bounty in one, but them not knowing in the other locations. With this being present day, we're not sure if it's going to work the same way because of course you can balance the gameplay side of this with there being different departments that need to find you because you've committed a crime within their jurisdiction. But at the same time, because it is present day, they could just phone up each other and then say, hey, have you seen Jason or Lucia? Make sure that they're wanted. This is where we balance the realism with the gameplay. Not too sure about that, but we do know that there will be different departments within game. Moving away from police, let's talk about the open world itself. There will be a lot of activities. We did cover those in some of the new gameplay mechanics, and expect everything that we've had from previous GTAs to be brought into GTA 6. But from there, we're taking another step up because it seems like there is this sort of merge with what we had within Red Dead Redemption 2 and also GTA 5, updating GTA 5, and then sort of bringing them together. It's not just a case of copying and pasting what we had within Red Dead into a new GTA, but with that there will be a lot more animals, and for the very first time ever within GTA, there's going to be proper hunting mechanics. It played a much bigger role within Red Dead, considering you didn't have this massive built up city. So the wildlife played a very important role. It still probably won't be to that level, but it's gonna be at a higher level than what it's ever been before in terms of the GTA series. There will be the traditional ways of getting around with cars, boats, and planes, but there will also be a completely new tram system that will go across the whole of Vice City. There'll be more landmarks and more enterable locations for you to go through. In fact, you can go through a full new take hostage system where you can rob different local stores, both as Lucia and also Jason. There will also be unique dialogue through each and every single one of these. And of course, with it being Rockstar, there's going to be a lot of unique events and potentially even some that come back. There's likely to be some sort of murder mystery that was referenced within the leaks, but even if it wasn't, we could assume that it would be a thing because pretty sure it's always a thing. And also a lot of UFO events because yet again, even if that wasn't included as part of the leaks, it's always a thing. It just always is. An interesting mechanic that was within Red Dead Redemption 2 was that if you were to rob a store and then you were to shoot the person behind the counter, you wouldn't be able to go back into that store immediately. You would have to wait a few days. And if you waited a few days and then came back, the person who owns the store, they will be bandaged up. So if you shoot them in the head, they'll have a bandage around the head. If you shoot them in the shoulder, they'll have a bandage around their shoulder. That is also supposed to be recurring, with this also potentially being staff being replaced, and also you being outright banned from certain locations. I don't know what you need to do for this to happen, but I assume killing someone is certainly an offense to be banned for life. Both Jason and Lucia will be able to own multiple apartments, and with those apartments you can set them up as safe houses. There's also the option for you to set up camp so that instead of having a set location where you lived with your owned apartment, or having a safe house, that you could just go out into the forest, set up camp and stay low out there. Street gangs are going to be bigger than ever. This is not a new thing, it's just another thing that's going to be ramped up. And as these street gangs cross paths, there will be full shootouts. In fact, there's going to be more dynamic events than we've ever seen before. And it could be something big like this as a full gang turf war. But in some cases, it's just going to be a car crash, a car accident. No malicious intent, it just happens, very much in a way that it happens within real life. And this is Rockstar's way of just making the world more immersive. And that's what brings us to our final part, which is talking about weapons. There will be a plethora of weapons. I know, who would have guessed it? With each of these weapons being customizable to a higher level than what has been seen before. There'll also be a new range of weapons which will also be added, such as being able to get USB drivers, tasers, wire cutters, cable ties, binoculars, immobilizers, and also auto dialers. Trackers and jammers will also be used as a part of the game for you to track down various vehicles, enemies as part of missions, side missions, whatever that may be. Plus also jammers. Go into a local police department, put out a jammer just outside so that you can commit a crime and delay the response. There's more of a tactical gameplay as part of GTA 6. Not everything needs to be lethal, so we'll also be able to see smoke grenades and also flashbangs. I think with this, and this was always going to be the case, but Rockstar are really trying to push it further than ever before. Not just giving one single way to play, going for the main story missions, but still being able to do that, enjoy the story, but then go through many other events. We've seen over the last few years that less and less game companies are trying to extend their story length. They're liking it to be anywhere between 20 to potentially 50 hours in length. And even then, 50 hours is starting to become quite long. But they're going for a more dense story, and then from there, the open world, that's what they're trying to make as deep as possible. And from this, the leaks, and remember what I said at the beginning, a lot of this came from last year in September of 2022 with those leaks, and even then, supposedly with those leaks, it was still a couple years old. So with this, even though we know it has been listed, we have seen gameplay of this as part of those leaks, there's still a lot of this that can change. But based on this, we can see that the scope is so much deeper than what anyone really expected for GTA 6, despite all the hype for this game. And with all of that, there's still a few things that I'm expecting. A Tony Montana reference, because just got to be. I actually watched that for the very first time just a few weeks ago. So this is perfect timing. And also a Tommy Vercetti Easter egg. It just has to be. There's going to be something like that within game. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you couldn't tell, I'm super hyped for this, and from the moment GTA 6 is announced all the way to its release, we will be documenting it as one of our games here on this channel. So if you want to stay up to date on everything, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But anyway, thank you very much for watching.